All right. I'm back. Again. Oh, I imagine you might be getting sick of me. Sometimes I get sick of myself. Eh, it is what it is. Well, I didn't want to have to make a bunch of life changes, especially so violently and aggressively and instantly. That demonic officer really messed us up. Oh, hey, brother Cole. Sorry, I don't have a keyboard. I have to use the damn on-screen keyboard, point and click. And I was actually going to do this with my phone, but it's still uploading a file from this morning, and it's a 2 GB doing over cellular, so that I can use the Wi-Fi to do the computer. And so the battery's going dead on the phone uploading it while it's plugged in. It's using so much energy uploading this stuff. So the phone camera's out for right now, and it's just me in my place on my computer camera. Like I said, I was gonna go ahead and I didn't go set up the tripod and we can get it all going. And just I look at the phone and saw still got another hour uploading and less than half the battery, and I'm like, so back to the old compatible Cadillac computer with an incompatible software they call Windows 10. Honestly, I'm not doing so good, brother Cole. I'm really not, Cole. I'm in a lot of distress and panic. Yeah, like I said, that demonic police officer pulled me over on my electrically assisted bicycle and decided to make a decision against everyone else on this damn planet up until this moment for it to be illegal at that moment. And I'm 7 miles away from home disabled. I even mentioned the fact. Well, thank you, brother Cole. But yeah, I explained my disability and the fact that I'm a child abuse victim, and this is a way for me to take care of myself. He's like, I don't care, according to these regulations. And I said, yeah, according to those regulations, it's legal. He said, well, in my opinion, because this is the way this is, this is the way this is. And I'm like, well, that's the court to decide. And he's like, yeah. And I said, so that means you haven't proven me guilty. I could drive this home, right? Oh, no, you get on that thing, I'm arresting you. So I'm 7 miles from home. Officer, you're doing this to a child abuse victim who's innocent. All you're going to do is increase the possibility of suicidality. And the officer's like, just blows right over that. That officer, at that moment, he should have been like, all right, I'll call a crisis intervention trained officer. You're probably going to go to a mental hospital. Just calm down. And I'd have been like, good, officer. I need to go to the mental hospital because you really just totally fucked me up to no end. I am fucking gone. And I really am. But I've been dealing with this my whole life. So it's a delayed reaction. I was able to handle it right there on the side of the street with that officer. But I'm paying for it in the weeks to this court date by, one, I can't drive the bike. I don't got much food. I fucking use that bike to go to church and soup kitchen and just to go buy food when I have money. I can't do that now. I haven't seen another human in a while. And I don't plan on seeing another human, face to face until this court date. All because I can't ride that bike now. And if I never get to ride it again, what's the fucking point in living like this? All because that demonic officer wanted to fucking hurt me. After I explained, look, I'm Christian, I'm with church, child abuse victim, having seizures. This is how me and my dad found a way to legally solve it. And he's like, yeah, but it's not legal. And I said, yes, it is, officer. Oh, And he said, well, I decided it's not legal, and I'm going to harm and damage you because I caught you driving it. And if I catch you driving it again, I'm going to fuck you into the fucking jail system. And I'm like, how am I going to get home? Well, you can walk it, you can pedal it. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. You told me this isn't a bicycle, that I'm not, so I can't drive it on the road. But if I'm pedaling it, even though it's not a bicycle, I'm still operating it. And then he's like, oh, you can use it on the sidewalk at 15 miles an hour. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh, you just fucked up, officer. You are just the biggest piece of shit I've ever fucking met. But I just handled it like a polite little Christian person with a emotional dysregulation that is well understood. The last thing I said to that officer was officer, you're being satanic. You need to go to church because I'm not going to make it. And I bet that gave that officer something to think about. After all that fucking intensity and pushing and shoving and manipulating he did to try to get me to fucking snap on him or something, and I just sat there and fucking handled it like a fucking responsible adult. And then I didn't even fucking cuss at him or get mad. I just fucking said, you're being satanic, you need to go to church. I bet that started fucking with his fucking head. I hope when I go to court, that officer says, Joshua, I'm sorry. Here's a couple $1,000 for what? For the emotional damage and destruction. And I will never bother you again. And I will tell all my officers to leave you alone. And Judge Ward, I'm sorry that we even got to this point. I need to leave this man alone and go out on the street and take care of the real criminals. That would be awesome. But you know that officer ain't going to do that. He's going to fucking sit there and fight tooth and nail against that judge that hates me to keep me from ever getting to ride that bike again and being fucked. It's so bad I want to go to a mental hospital really bad. I'm not doing it right now because my best friend doesn't want me to because he's attached to me and he doesn't want to see me go, even though I'm not really going. I'm just taking a break and forcing them to take care of me and pay for the fucking shit they put me through. So I don't fucking kill myself first. Because my life is way too valuable for that. But emotions are emotions, you know what I'm saying? And when you get stigmatized and you can't get medication, you know, you're on your own. And then then you go to drug dealers. Being a friend with a drug dealer, oh man, is one of the most weirdest relationships in the fucking world. And I wish it didn't even exist. But it has to because I can't go to that store and buy my medication. And I can't go to the doctor and get the prescription for the medication because most of them are paranoid or just straight up don't know what the fuck they're doing when it comes to psychiatry. And then when you tell them about this and just try to explain it and say, hey, look it up if you don't believe me. And they're like, I ain't got time for that. Psychotropic. Oh, fuck these doctors, man. I want to beat the fucking shit out of these goddamn fucking pieces of shit, but not with my body, just with my mind and my mouth and my emotion. I don't ever touch anybody. I hug people, shake hands. I'm actually kind of pretty comfortable with that. I've gotten over a lot of the fucking shit that happened to me as a child in situations like that. But the socialized anxiety disorder that these police and judge and all of these fucking neurotypicals when they harm, harass, beat, and abuse deficient individuals that are child abuse victims, and they love it too. Oh my God, they get off on it. It's woo. So I don't blame. You know, I heard about this guy that went after these child molesters, started hitting them in the head with a hammer and shit, facing a hammer and shit, and went in the court and was like, yeah, I did some fucking justice. You guys ain't fucking taking care of these molesters. You're letting them back out on the street. Fuck these niggas up. I'm like, yeah, I can side with that. I know I need to live a happy life, Brother Cole. I want to so badly. I want to so badly to go to a doctor once in a while, get checked up, go to a store, buy the pills, come home, take care of myself, go to the store, buy groceries, go to church, go visit friends, party a little bit, come home, get some sleep, and do it all over again, and just have fun, and just and volunteer and help people and continue to educate. And well, I'm stuck here, suicidal. And the way this is going to work out in court is likely going to force me here. All because some officer's opinion. Adam, he's actually doing a lot better last time I saw him. But again, it's been a few weeks now, and I have no way of going out and checking on him. I'm completely out of touch with everything off of this property now, other than the internet. And the internet has nothing to do with local. It's all bizarre, out of space national shit. And but yeah, like I said, Adam looks like he's doing a lot better than he was. Like, I mean, talking like setting himself up for long-term improvement. The last few times I've interacted with him, his aura was just so much more self-confident and forward-thinking that I was like, he looks like he's in a good place. I don't really need to worry about him anymore like that. You know what I mean? And that's cool. And maybe I helped him get there. Hey, and if I did, I feel better for it. Yeah, me too. I'm glad to see he's doing better too. Treated pretty bad by some people too. And honestly, he's one of them guys that you don't want to treat bad. Because he's a pretty big motherfucker, and especially when he gets drunk, he get pretty gnarly. And if he don't have any love for you, better watch out. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But yeah, and it's really ridiculous with all these police officers locally. As I've had my hand broken, black eye. I've had people throw me off my bike a couple of times and want to get in fist fights just because I call them on riding on the wrong side of the road or something, because I almost hit them or something because they swerved in front of me or something. And then when I'm trying to report these violent people, these people actually physically injure me, the officers want nothing to do with investigating, going after this fella. And all they try to do, I guess I got a record of mental hospital visits, is try to find some way to trigger me or find a legitimate way to bait rack me, to the point of I've had an officer I was talking to like right around just, oh, yeah, because what it was somebody had called threatening to come and shoot me and my dad on my property. That was an emotional mix-up that we solved between us personally later, but at that moment it was a legitimate threat. I called. It took county forever to get out here, and when they did, and I'm like, do something about this. Well, you need to go to court and get this, and I'm like, that's not going to help me right now. This guy shows up, and he's like, well, are you military? Are you done military service? And my mind was like, just honesty. No, of course, I'm disabled. I wanted to. My whole family has, but my disability kept me out of it. And I'm glad I didn't go, because it would have really messed me up even worse. What she was trying to do, though, is if I would have said, yeah, I served in the military, she would have said, oh, you got PTSD, and she would have baker acted me. Think about it. Why else would she have asked me that at that point and out of randomness in that situation? Because she wanted to stop listening to me reporting a crime and just wanted to fucking call me crazy and toss me in the mental hospital and be done with it. Those officers do that a lot. They do that a lot. How many people have I gotten to actually answer for their crimes against me? Just one. And that was a fucking struggle. I had to literally chase him around on my bike, fucking making a big old public scene so people got the police involved. And then force those police to follow me down the fucking path, down the fucking Powerland Trail while I'm riding my electric bike, pointing out, this is where he went, this is what he did, in fact, you saw a little video where I'm like, no, officer, I'm not getting you or your vehicle because I was an undercover officer that was doing that. You see that I actually have this legitimate respect for what the police are, and good officers I treat with good respect. And we get along really well, actually. Very well. Like adults should. But these bad officers are 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 on these two departments, the Okaloosa County and the Crestview Police. So 4 out of 5 times, they're trying to lock me up when I'm trying to report somebody for hurting me or stealing from me or something. But then I get beaten, abandoned, abused, stolen, and fucked up and shit, and then I get suicidal, and they lock them up, hit them with the fucking needles, and throw them in the mental hospital. Crazy. No, just fucking chill out. Give me a little bit of medication. Stop treating me like a demon. So, what's the date? Tuesday? It should be. I'm sad that I have to double check sometimes what day of the week it is. There's just nothing else to do. Nothing else to do. Oh, my goodness. Let's see. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. YouTube. I don't know if I can get this thing exposed on that computer camera well. Yeah, see YouTube still sitting there just downloading or uploading. My phone's stuck. But at least I got the charging back up. I'm up to 58 instead of down charging. I'm up charging. So, who knows? Maybe in another hour or two, I'll come back live with the camera. We're going to jump out in the yard, go ride down the dirt road or something again. I don't know. Just something to do. I mean, man. And I'm just burned out from learning. I'd sit here and watch YouTube videos, but fuck, I've already learned everything on the goddamn planet to learn that I want to learn right now. I watch some comedy, but I'm in such a fucking anxious state of fucking... What's the word I'm looking for? Because it's not really depression. This is depressing, but this is not depression. This is victimization and me just coping with it without any other way to deal with this, especially without medication while I'm having seizures in my sleep, only getting a couple hours a night. Ray Cup, it's just tea and sugar. I've eased off on drinking a half gallon to 2 gallons of coffee a day lately. And guess why? Brother Cole, guess why I quit drinking the coffee a few days ago? Nope. Victimization, poverty. I can't afford the $6 to go buy another can of coffee. So that's really what it takes to start that investment with coffee is $6. Anything less than that, you're getting ripped off, price per pound. 2, shit's over there at the dollar store. I'm not saying I haven't been to the dollar store twice since that happened, very cautiously. But it's such a horrifying event to do that, knowing that this officer is going to just put me right in jail and leave me there. And my bike's going to go. Speaking of which, I spent $1,200 on that bike a few months ago. Fuck, that money. Fucking fuck. So now I'm even more poor because my investment is now worthless. Just like when I started having seizures, I just spent $14,000 on a 28-foot RV. Then I started having seizures. They take my license. I go to a neurologist, and he misdiagnoses me and keeps me stuck in these seizures to this moment. And that was 13 years ago. 13 years ago. Maybe 14 at this point. It was that neurologist, Dr. Pan. Or Shijun Pan. Chinese. Go figure. Trying to kill an American Christian. Telling me my solution to my seizures is suicide when the diagnosis of epilepsy wouldn't work. Instead of just being a fucking humanitarian, or actually, instead of just being a fucking professional like I paid him out of pocket to do. And this is why I got a lawsuit on that Chinese doctor. He's my fucking nigger slave. He's my fucking spiritual slave for life, and he paid himself into it by telling me to go commit suicide to cure my seizures. Because he didn't think my seizures were real. But you can't fake seizures. What he should have realized, I think he did. I think that Dr. Pan knew exactly what he was doing. I think that, what he should have done was said, oh, you have an anxiety, hyperactivity, panic disorder that's causing a mood dysregulation, and that extreme is causing your seizures. That's why the epileptic medications aren't working. Oh my, it's because you're child abuse. Oh, all right, well, you need to go see a psychiatrist. No, he said, all those seizure medications didn't work. You say you're still having seizures, and you're probably not having the seizures. And if you are, then you need to. And I was like, well, look, I'm going to kill myself because there's nothing else for me to do. And he's like, go ahead and do it. I'm like, all right. I can imagine how to. And I almost did. I was just right out in the street and just pow. And that doctor was expecting me to do that. He was counting on me doing that 13, 14 years ago, before anybody understood any of this with me, especially me and my family. Now that me and my family understand this, that I've been able to get on social media and inform, put some public information out there, like I said, that doctor's fucked. Especially if I kill myself at any time. He's fucked. He's fucked. And even if I don't kill myself, he's still fucked, because I'm going to take him to court if I live long enough. It is what it is. And if that don't work, I just murdered a motherfucker. And I ain't fucking shitting you on that at this point, or at that point in the future, after a few more, let's say another 5-10 years of struggling and trying for this, and they're still, because he misdiagnosed me with epilepsy, and now they call me and because of that, they call me schizophrenic. Even though I'm not, it's just a panic anxiety disorder from child abuse. And autism. There's autism too. There's a lot of autism in there. 5-10 years, I'm still having seizures. Still being denied medication. Still fucking stuck at home, not allowed to drive anywhere. All these fucking things. I go ahead and file my lawsuit, and I lose. I'll kill the motherfucker. That's it. Just, why not? At that point, I'll be, my mid-40s, almost 50. I should have already been dead 100,000 times by now. And I'm not just going to kill him. I'm going to take all of this physical restraint that I put through my entire existence into not physically harming other humans or their property. And I'm going to put it all out on that Chinese doctor. And if I ever get my hands on Judge Ward, if he doesn't stop this stupid shit, and I lose a lawsuit with him too. But that's fantasy. That's not this thing with this Dr. Pan. I'm not kidding. I'm not fucking kidding. If I fucking don't win in the long run and I'm still alive, I'm fucking kidnapping that motherfucker, and I am torturing him until he dies of the torture. And if he never doesn't die of the torture, then I'll just keep torturing him. And then when it's all over, I'll put it all on the video and turn myself in. Yeah. Officers, I took care of this Chinese doctor for you guys. Time to pay for what I did. But it was worth it. Yeah. I have to be strong, man. Just, you ain't gonna make it in this planet without that strength. Not kidding. He ain't gonna make it. It's evolution. You know, I wasn't designed to evolve, but like that doctor expected me to go commit suicide, I am a man of counter uh, whatever's likely. For some reason, I'm going to end up getting the opposite. When it comes to that, when it comes to other people predicting me, that's where my real strength is. Everybody's going to predict that I'm going to flip out. Everybody's going to expect me to do this or to act this way, or do that, do this. But they don't know me at all. They know other fuck ups and losers and pieces of shit motherfuckers that don't either never get themselves together or fucking did it to themselves in the first place and so fuck them. You know, they never dealt with a fucking real victim that fucking really got his fucking self together. That's right, proving them wrong every moment of every day in every way. The problem is, how do I legally prove this so that I can have my cake and eat it too? Now you see where I'm going with this. I mean, I just got an invitation to go set up a place up in Alabama, basically so I can be in the same neighborhood as my best friend and we can hang out. We ride ATVs and dirt bikes, and I'll be getting to know some of his family and his friends, and that the people he hangs out with are good people. I've had them over my place a few times for company, and wow, what the most respectful house guests I've ever had. Just the most pleasant, polite, kind, cleaning up after themselves, everything. Just wonderful people. I want to do it, and I even told them I'm planning on doing it, but I've realized, especially after just running out of coffee a few days ago, struggling to keep up with food, being lonely, and I've got something to smoke, but it's not working because it's just bad product. That's what happens when you can't go to a store and buy something to medicate with. I got something that somebody's going to say is worth $220 on the street, but because there's no chemical in it to do anything that I bought it for, it's worth fucking less than $5 or $10 to me because it's just product without chemical. But that person's going to be like, well, you can't prove that, and you've already got it, so you owe that to me, and or if I'd already paid for it, I'd be fucked. I'd be like, and so I remain a victim again, just trying to medicate because I can't go to a fucking store and buy it. And you can't say I'm addicted or even dependent on it because notice something. I got some bad shit. What happened? I stopped doing it. And I even stopped wanting to do it. I'm not sitting here fiending for it. I'm not sitting here, oh man, I wish I could get high. Man, I wish I could get high. Man, I wish I could get high. Man, fuck. I'm not sitting here trying to smoke it anyway, even though I try. No, I'm fucking sitting here, drying it out, try it again just to make sure that it's not wet product, because that's happened occasionally. I get something that doesn't do anything right away and it's real harsh. I let it dry out for a few days, and it works like it's supposed. It works more like it's supposed to, but this is not that at all. This has got no trace of chemical at all whatsoever, not even bad stuff that just needs to dry out. But it is a little tiny bit moist, but not moist like it's been recently sprayed, kind of just, I mean, and it's fucked up that I know all this stuff about this fucking product. I should never have done that. When I first started having these problems, it should have been like, oh, you got an anxiety disorder. Here's some fucking benzos. Come see us in a couple of months and check up. No, fuck, they didn't do that fucking shit. They were like, oh, you got these problems? You're crazy. No, I'm not crazy. I'm just an abuse victim. Well, you're crazy for saying that. No, I'm being real and being a man about what happened to me, and you just psychologically ill and can't accept reality, or you're just so such a pussy you can't fucking handle the reality that child abuse really happens because it's sitting right here in front of your face. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But anyway, my point was with the Alabama thing is I decided not to do it. I am just too emotionally attached to getting revenge on this local community for the leaders of this local community who have done what they've done to me. I am so obsessed with justice that I'm going to stay here and I'm going to fucking be a public nuisance, brightly displaying publicly that I'm a child abuse victim. And the only reason why I continue to be a victim is because of police brutality, bad judges, and medical malpractice, horrible doctors. That's it. The people in the community are actually pretty damn good, pretty pleasant, even the ones that got problems, that treat each other bad. They're treating each other bad because the police are fucking them every day, every way. They're fucking paranoid and scared as fuck as the police, and I don't blame them. I just recently gotten over my fear and paranoia and started seeing them as equals. And now, nope, that officer fucked all that shit up. Now I'm back to being paranoid and terrorized and in panic and fear of the police. But do you know what that does, though? That doesn't make them superior to me. Nothing that causes fear and terror and panic in me makes me weaker, makes me feel less. What it does is it makes me realize I'm good, you're bad, fuck you, you're sad. I mean, you know, that's what it is. But this has gone on so long and so strong that I've begun to, or I've resumed questioning the reality of my righteousness. After all these officers have constantly said that I'm a criminal, how can I not be a criminal? And if I'm really crazy, then I guess I did do things that I didn't intend to do or don't remember. But again, cameras don't lie. Okay, I've been doing a lot of carrying camera around with me, and my memory and those cameras match up. But they continue to call me crazy. Who's the one who's really crazy? It's them. They're narcissistic. They're self-grandiosizing, self-inflating. They don't think anything is wrong with them, and they don't think there could be anything wrong with them. And if you think there's something wrong with them, then there's something wrong with you. Like I said, I don't blame that fella for taking a hammer to the face of those child molesters after all this fucking shit. So if I wouldn't have been abused as a child, I wouldn't need any kind of special treatment. I wouldn't. Ooh. Yeah. I really, like I said, I got some mixed emotions, conflict about what that fella did, that vigilante justice on the child molesters. But the look on his face, just that proud, just looking right over your fucking forehead smile on his face in the courtroom was just that he was genuinely proud of what he did. He knows that it's against man's written law in this country to do what he did. But according to morality, spirituality, he did the world a favor. And if these child molesters are this happens to a lot more child molesters, they're going to be terrified. Maybe that will keep some of them from doing it. Or maybe that will cause a change in the government to start forcing these child molesters into permanent lockup, never allowing them back on the street because everybody's just going to fuck these motherfuckers up with hammers and bats every time they fucking see these motherfuckers for the rest of their life. That's what needs to happen to child molesters. But no, they're allowed to fucking go back home and keep doing it to children. I can take it no more. I don't. Civil War. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting ready for it. Yeah, very, very mixed emotions, Cole. My emotions really, though, aren't mixed. What it is you don't have a right to hurt me and I don't have a right to hurt you. If I expect everybody to respect my right to not be physically, in an altercation with you, then I have to respect the same thing. So what the guy did, or how the guy did it, was wrong. If child molesters were taken care of properly, then had never been in a position for this man to have felt the need to do this. So I don't completely blame that individual, because the systemic abuse of children, the government promotes child abuse. This guy said, well, the government's not fucking taking care of these motherfuckers, I'll do it. The way he did it. All right. Let's do a little philosophy or theology here. Let's say this fella, obviously he did to what, 3 to 5 molesters before he got caught or turned himself in or something. And again, you got to give the guy credit. I mean, the guy just like, yeah, I did it. Yeah, take me in. The guy's got mental problems. And he obviously didn't get the help he needed for those mental problems. And those molesters paid for it. And unfortunately, he's going to have to pay for making those molesters pay for it. I almost want to worship him. I almost see that as a form of martyrdom nowadays. Because it's so scary to touch somebody, because you can still get a false battery charge even if you don't. But then you got these people that I run into that break my hand and fucking give me black eyes and rip me off my bike and shit. And the police officers literally do the opposite job. They literally do everything in their power to keep from even filing a report, let alone pursuing these people. And when I won't tolerate that, they try to lock me up and throw me in a mental hospital. These police are putting their lives in danger. And it terrifies me, because look, I believe in what a police department is and does. I believe in the good police officers that work in those departments. But they're few and far between. Every time an officer does this to innocent people, it makes it harder for them to do their job to real people. And it's gone on so long now that they've just given up on the real criminals and have focused their attention on victims. Seriously, how else would you describe this? It's laziness and abuse. And they're the worst ones, because they're the ones carrying the guns with the ability to enforce the law, backed by a government. Civil War may be on the horizon, because I have in the past, and I've had to sit down and do you know how hard it is to have a conversation like this, especially with the a normal a normal person that's a Christian and a conservative and a Republican and responsible and a net taxpayer and also your father. You know how hard it is to have a conversation with him like this? Dad, I want to get my concealed carry eventually. You know, do you think it's still possible, even with all these mental hospital visits? Granted, they're pretty much unnecessary and forced due to a misdiagnosis. And he's like, yes, you probably could get it if you do that real hard. I said, Dad, I want to get a concealed carry, but this is why I want to get it. And I want your opinion on this. I want to get a gun, Dad, because when an officer goes to abuse me and put me in submission when I'm innocent, especially if he's being brutal about it, I want the ability to be able to pop that officer in the face and run and defend myself like an American against another human, like I should have the right to do, Dad. I'm so terrified of the police, Dad, that I'm willing to get a concealed carry for the strict purpose of protecting myself from police brutality, Dad. And this was years ago. This was before all this Trump shit and all this riots and racism, propaganda, political shit. Long before all this. This was back before all this was quiet. See what I'm getting at? I've been having this emotional mentality towards these police officers for a long time. Since I was a teenager, basically, since I was a teenager, young adult. Because they've never done anything to help me, and they've only caused harm and devastation every time I had to interact with them. Up until recently, like I said, I got to the point where I was just treating them like fucking, like they weren't no better than me, and it was working. Until I met this officer. All that accomplishment towards getting along with the police and not being afraid of them anymore. Now I'm back to Civil War. Got to get a gun in case that police officer goes for his. That's a very bad way to think. And I know it is a bad way to think. But it's the right way to think given the situation. Again, I double check and fact check and then recheck and then reanalyze later to see if anything's changed. Nothing has changed. That ain't the definition of being right. Then nothing I know has ever been right for any moment that I've ever existed. And until a psychiatrist tells me that what I'm experiencing is real, how do I know that it's real? Because you keep telling me that it's not real, even though I know it's real because it's the way I remember it. Fuck that shit. That's what those doctors try to do to you. When you go in for an anxiety disorder, they say, you don't know what the fuck's going on. Yes, I do. I just don't know how to describe it because I'm not a neurologist and a psychiatrist. Now I am. Now I can take everything that I was experiencing and put it into document that you can fact check and, and there's evidence. Now you see why, honestly, cool, just by being here in my live chat. You're the first one to ever be in a live chat. This is my second live chat. So, honestly, you did. You helped me just by being here, hanging out with me right now, buddy. Because I'm loneliness. That's abandonment issues. Those are some of my biggest problems. But they're also the things that I've turned around into the things that I'm the most resistant to. I am so resistant now to abandonment and loneliness that I do stuff like this to not be lonely. Even watch my own videos, not over and over, but I made some. That's an adventure, getting to watch them all over again. And that's good because I get along with myself excellently. I can get along with other people short term, but I'm not capable of living with other people, cohabitating with other people without that medication. And even with it, I still might not be able to because, my socialized anxiety disorder is so strong, and I know that my normalcy is so eccentric and bizarre to other people that I have to walk on eggshells around them all the time. I can handle that for a while, but after a week or two of that, it builds up, and I snap, have a seizure or something, and usually get kicked out. So I've already learned I can't cohabitate with other people, especially without this medication. With the medication, and when I'm like smoking, this synthetic cannabis that used to work, wrong. Synthetic cannabis still works great. This isn't synthetic cannabis. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But it's the drug dealer would still fucking charge me like it was. And you let him get away with it because that's a fucking fight you don't even want to start. And again, that's abusive. That's totalitarian, or what's the word I'm looking for? Tyrannical, maybe. I don't care. But you get it though. And it's a monopoly because you can't go to the store and buy it. And like with all these heroin addicts dying because they're getting fucked up shit, kind of the same with this. I'm not dying, but this is keeping me in poverty. Because now this $200-something investment, wasted. The benefits I would have got off of that, wasted. To get some more of that will be a whole nother start of the battle to obtain this because it's illegal. And I just spent this stuff. I should be sitting here enjoying my synthetic cannabis, and instead, I'm over here wondering how am I going to make up for the difference since this stuff's no good. Fortunately, it's my friend who's helping me get this, and it's kind of a prepayment. I give him so much a month, and he just makes sure I have it. And so far, when it's bad stuff, if I complain about it, he either lets me keep it, gives me some better stuff, and I mix it, or swaps it out or something. And he's not charging me out of pocket, at it, or denying me any of it if I don't have any money because I prepaid for it. But this is happening 2 out of 3 times now, and I'm just having I don't want him thinking that I'm just bitching when I'm not. I'm complaining about a legitimate deficiency in product that I purchased. And that's the problem with him being my friend too. See, I'm like, I really just want to just not have drugs involved at all. We can do drugs, but this buy sell with drugs and stuff, just none of that. I'll go get my drugs here. You go get, if you want to do some drugs, you go get them there, and we'll hang out. And as I'm trying to detach from that, I'm sensing that he's not wanting to detach from that, and that's putting up a few red flags. And that's another reason why I decided not to move up to Alabama and do the power sports thing, and to just stay here and force this fucking police problem into the public's face by protest and public displays. Because and what's really crazy is if that would have been good product, my anxiety would have been taken care of, and I'd fucking got some sleep, and I'd fucking be kind of buzzed or high, or at least lowered down a little bit right now, and wouldn't be caring about that too much, and be able to distract and watch some TV or something else, or this or that. But instead, like I said, now I'm sitting here just staring at this stuff that's supposed to be let me have a little bit of relief and entertainment, and it actually is the opposite. It's actually very harsh, very, very nasty, very just. And again, I think, and it's like speeding me up too. That's crazy. The idea that it might be speeding me up, and and I'm not kidding. This thought crossed my mind this morning, and it's one of the reasons why I kind of decided to start just hitting the live because I got in such a state of just panic and just worry about this fucking shit with the police that I started pacing for about 20 minutes. When I caught myself pacing, I'm like, oh, I better catch this on camera. Well, guess what? I turned the camera on. By the time I did all that, apparently that distraction, or what they call it, impulse, calmed that obsession down enough to where now I can sit down and at least do this. So if nothing else, the camera and this is a distraction enough to keep me from obsessing about that, so I can, like I said, just do something different. So like I said, just having somebody in the chat is, especially Brother Cole, that's just awesome. You know what I'm saying? That's what I gotta say. So yeah, like I was talking about, it's not depression. Believe me, if it was depression, long time ago. This isn't depression. This is a passionate determination for justice. And I think that's the opposite of depression. I think that's almost in that, they call it, what is it, not hypermania, unipolarism. No, I don't think I'm still quite there. It's one of these more recent terms that and categorizations that I started studying. So I've got the idea of what it is. I just can't call it what it is. But anyway, I know, look, I'm doing my fucking research. I'm over here. Even though I've got it solved, I'm still exploring other possibilities just to guarantee that my original diagnosis is correct. And it's still continuing to prove me right, even the more spread out and more problems with my self-diagnosis. I'm out there. I'm trying to prove myself wrong at this point, and I can't do it. And they call me crazy. No, I'm not. Oh, I'm just too smart for my own good. And I kind of mean that. Because like I said, back in the mental hospital days, when I had no idea what was going on, I just knew I was having seizures and just fucking feeling so hated and so abandoned. No idea what was going on. Well, it was legitimate. You were being abandoned. You have been abused. You are having social problems. The thing they all just kind of swept under the rug was an anxiety disorder. And why? Because they caused it. If you want my, just off the top of my head, after all this opinion, they deny me this because to at this point allow me correct treatment would be proving me right and them wrong the entire time and setting themselves up for medical malpractice. That could be under that category of paranoid thinking. And see what I'm getting at? I recognize that. I can analyze it and realize it sounds paranoid, but again, given the facts, it's a reasonable conclusion that to protect themselves from medical malpractice, they continue to deny me a legitimate diagnosis and prescriptions and treatment, because at the moment they do, it's all over for them. See how horrible of a policy that is? And just how much harder this makes it on victims? All because of some fucking insurance policy? Insurance policy, not literal. Because let's face it, they commit murder and crimes of horror and atrocity with this medical malpractice on victims, especially in the autistic category, and they toss you into psychiatric ward. I've actually been doing a little bit of research on the way some of these people get treated that aren't on my level that can get out. And it's no wonder they can't get out. They start fucking calling him crazy, hitting him with the wrong medications, and treating him like shit, and literally sometimes choking these. Yeah, I've been choked in a mental hospital before. Yes, I have been choked in the mental hospital by a staff member. And I'm on my level. I didn't take that fucking shit. I fucking called them on that fucking shit, and they got me out of that fucking mental hospital in a matter of hours. Even though I was supposed to be there for a minimum of 72, and I hadn't even done 2 days. He fucking did that shit. And I said, you understand that I'm just a victim of child abuse with a seizure disorder and emotional dysregulation because you won't give me anti-anxiety. And now this motherfucker just fucking choked me while you're trying to force antipsychotics on me. You know, I got a lot to fuck you with right now because you got cameras on this. And he's like, get your things together. Getting you out of here in a couple hours. I wasn't kidding you. If that ain't fucking confirmation of a crime and an attempt to cover it up, I don't know what is. That was Fort Walton Beach Medical Center Psychiatric Treatment Unit. That happened in. So the world can know again. If this shit happens at that hospital. But that's not as bad. Well, it's a different kind of evil than what happened to me at the Baptist hospital. Holy fucking shit. That is the last place in the planet to be sending mentally ill people. They are so unprepared to take care of mental patients. No food, hardly any food, hardly any facility, hardly any training, and miscategorizing, putting people like me that are abuse victims with anxiety disorders in with real fucking violent psychotics and schizophrenics. And then when I'm telling them about what's going on, they just leave me there. Where I just literally like, I still need treatment, but I gotta get out because this guy's gonna fuck me up. Or I'm gonna kill him in self-defense. What do you mean you're gonna kill him in self-defense? Look, that motherfucker ain't never gonna stop if he starts. My only way to make sure he ain't gonna fucking harm me if he starts is to make sure he's not breathing anymore. And I'm being real. Woo. Oof. I'm reliving it. Man. You see? Oof. Oof. Oh, my bad. According to the doctors, I'm just faking these emotions. I'm just making this shit up. Fuck you, doctors. Man, I want to fuck them fuckers up. Yeah. Sorry about that. Like I said, it's a bad habit. But look how easy it was to break. Look how easy it was to break. Fuck, I don't fucking care. In fact, the only reason why this stuff's sitting here isn't to tease me, because that's what it kind of does or used to do. This stuff is so has just it's so wrong, so bad. It's not even teasing me anymore. The only reason I'm sitting here is just so I can keep drying it out, so I can try it again tomorrow to double check to make sure it's not tolerance or just wet product. And again, when nothing changes, I'm bagging this stuff up. I'm giving it back to him next time I see him, and just be like, here. I don't want it. And honestly, I don't want you to replace it. If I feel like doing this again, I'll go into town and talk to the other fellow I was talking about, that literally just man to man, person to person, casual acquaintance, and business. I'd say 2 out of 3 to 3 out of 4 times And sometimes even all the time, this guy's got what I'm looking for, what I'm paying for. This has gotten to the point where, like I said, it's 1 out of every 3 times. And it's really just making me miserable when it's no good because of the waste and the abuse on my lungs and throat going through for no benefit. And then the feeling of debt and knowing I'm going to be in poverty because I'm either going to have to replace this or go without. And so, like I said, now I'm bagging this stuff up. I'm handing it back to him and asking him not to replace it. And I'll see how he reacts. If he's like, oh, all right, I understand, and we still be friends, well, then my red flags were wrong. And that's why I'm taking this calmly, and I just calling him up and be like, oh, this shit ain't no good. Give me fucking. I was like, fuck it. Have it back. I don't care. So what's crazy is, man, I really, whatever. You can't always have what you want. I wish my phone wasn't busy right now so I could play around with it in front of the camera, but oh well, it's almost there. Where's my battery at? There it is, 66. Okay, good enough. But yeah, I had my brother David finally got a hold of me 2 days ago, maybe 3 days ago, and he we caught up, and he's like, yeah, man, you remember this guy named John, aka Sleepy? He's been worried about you, man, blah blah blah. I'm like, I don't remember him at all. And he kind of described him and stuff, and I was like, well, I just it was that time when I was getting hit with a lot of psychotropics and being abused and abandoned and beaten and having seizures all the time, trying to fucking struggle to fucking pay my bills and shit. So there's probably a reason why I don't remember that guy, because of all that fucking mismedication and all those seizures. Well, I guess I got to go hold of the guy, and a very bizarre experience. And I've been kind of wrapping my head around this, trying to figure out what exactly is in the mindset of some people. He's like, oh my God, you're okay. I need to come out and see you right away. I'm like, why? Because you need company. I got to make sure you're all right. I'm like, dude, I've been out here for fucking years, independently, sort of taking care of myself. What? Just calm down, guy, man. Just, dude, there's nothing wrong, man. I gotta come see you, man. I'm like, make sure you're all right. And I'm like, dude, look, my place is a disaster. I'm not ready for company, man. How about tomorrow? No, man, I really want to come see you right now. Blah blah blah. Oh, come see me. And I'm like, you know what? I would. I'd love to jump on the bike and come see you right now. But I can't. The police officer took that away from me last week. All right, well, I want to come out and see you. I'm like, all right, fine. Give me a couple of hours. Let me get dressed, get my place cleaned up, and, get ready for company, man. So he finally comes out here, and he ends up being this, 120-pound fellow about my age. Could barely see out of his eyes. And he's got his cane, and he got this fella holding his shoulder as he walking. He literally starts crawling up the fucking stairs to get into my place. Okay. I'm totally acceptable of disability. I didn't think nothing emotional about it. I just I can understand this guy's problem. I just patient and polite and let him, get himself in and seated. He did. Well, I started playing some music and stuff, and they were a little detached. And he pulls out this fucking Pringles can full of fucking decent pot, and I'm like, marijuana, I'm like, oh, well, I haven't seen that in a while. He's like, yeah, man, it's the best stuff in the world, or something like that. I don't know exactly, but he's like, yeah, that's what I use. I'm like, yeah, I used to use it too. Just, oh no, I used to smoke it or something. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't use it anymore. It's like, why? Well, partially because it doesn't work easy, and my lungs and throat have this like allergic reaction, like just want to lock up and not let me inhale, and I have to just literally just use my brain and my muscles to say and inhale. But this marijuana, when I inhale it, the feeling I get in my chest and my throat is really bad, really bad. So it's not really worth that if it's not really doing the mildly hallucinogenic, mind expansive, alternate sensational altercations that it used to do. I haven't experienced that from pot in forever, and it's likely just because I can't smoke it well enough to get there. Because again, just when I inhale, first thing is just lock up. And a good synthetic cannabis is actually very smooth. I don't know if that scientist that was creating those chemical structure in a laboratory to do what it did, he added a little bit of methanol or something in there, methanol tricyclate or something into the chemical compound. But whatever he did, when it's the real correct synthetic cannabis, it's very smooth. It's very gentle. And really the only big issue you got to worry about with that is just build up. Sometimes you just got to stop for a couple of days and cough it all up. Let yourself re up and then smoke again. And responsible people that care about their lungs and care about themselves do that. You know what I mean? But anyway, okay, so what I'm getting at is I've just described my situation. Even with fucking hardcore addictive habit-forming drugs, you see that. It doesn't work, and I wasted my money, especially after too many times. It's just... All right, now, I believe that is the opposite of an addiction. And possibly even the opposite of an addictive personality. Habit-forming personality, yes, but not addictive. And habit forming is actually good for me with my autism and my anxiety disorder because it allows me a form of routine to naturally reduce the anxiety and to help me keep perspective. Crazy how this all works together, huh? So what I want is, after hearing what I just described, do you think I'm lost to addiction? Think I'm an addict? Even a spice addict at this point? I can't be. Because when it starts causing more harm than good, I stop using it. That's the opposite of an addiction. That's more of a dependence. And it's not even a physical dependence. I don't go through any physical withdrawals. Hell, I don't even go through emotional withdrawals. I do have a few neurological quirks sometimes, but I don't believe that those are side effects or withdrawals. What they have been proving more often than not to be is my actual neurological severe symptoms that I've been treating, forcing into normalcy with this are just coming back because this is missing. This is why I need medication for real, and why I'm going to probably need medication for the rest of my life. And I just have to accept it, and any doctor that's going to work with me has to accept it. And unfortunately, I haven't met a doctor yet that will accept the fact that I'm going to likely need to be on medication for the rest of my life. Which is silly, because one of the first things they told me when all this was first starting to go on was that I may be on medication for the rest of my life and I'd have to accept it. Now that I have, they're telling me they're never even accepting that fact now that I finally accepted it. Do you see what what this is doing to people like me, this constant battle of nonsense from these fucking doctors, and they're paid to do it. They are trained to avoid liability like the plague, but yet it costs fucking thousands of dollars to get a simple treatment in a hospital. And then when when poverty-stricken people can't afford health care, the taxpayers pay for it. But these poverty-stricken people aren't getting the health care that the taxpayers are paying for. They're stealing from our taxes. On top of all of this damage to victims, all this promoting of child abuse, and all this encouraging mental illness. Oh, yeah, I got back into talking on the phone. Okay, yeah, so, okay, we can all come to the reasonable conclusion that I am indeed not an addict to pretty much anything except oxygen. Well, again, addiction has to cause damage, more harm than good. Okay? I'm not an addict, obviously, because I'm not doing anything in my life that's causing more harm than good. And I mean that. Nothing. In fact, all this ranting and raving and shit is to help keep me from getting worse. As further proof of me doing nothing but trying to improve nonstop. That's the opposite of depression, yet they fucking want to toss me on SSRIs at first, and I'm like, they make me sick. They don't work right. Well, but no, look, you're treating my brain and this part of my brain. The reuptake inhibitors are not functioning within levels that I consider normal. Or that I sensationalize as normal, whatever. When you do that, you have balanced that, and that fucks all kinds of shit up, because this other part of my brain that is severely, subconsciously, nonstop, overreactive from the child abuse remains unmedicated because of simple liability. Because if they admit it, then they have to treat it. If they treat it, then they're liable. If I do fuck up on that Xanax, which it shouldn't be, or they're liable. Let's see. Liable if I fuck up on the Xanax. What else are they liable for? They're liable if I fuck up on that Xanax. That's one reason why I don't prescribe it. Oh, yeah. And the moment that they do admit my correct diagnosis, and is the moment they're going to have to give me that medication, or I've got another lawsuit. The moment they give me that medication, they're going to be in a terrorized panic, hoping I fuck up. Even though if I fuck up, it's kind of going to fuck them too. So this whole circle just keeps them from fucking helping, from treating me correctly. Because the moment they do, all that past can come back on them, and it shouldn't work that way. Oh, I mean, no, the past coming back to haunt them should definitely work that way. Man, a doctor should be like going to a fucking car repairman. No regulation, and doctor has nothing to do with nothing once you leave his office. You go there, you pay him for this much time to do this job, to diagnose. Does it? And he tells you, you're healthy, or these are what's wrong. These are the medications I suggest. Have a nice day. It's up to you to go, decide that the medication he prescribed you is correct, prescribe it or purchase it, and then choose to use it and handle it and go back to the doctor if it doesn't work. And it's medication he gave you, it ought to be kind of a free consultation. Be kind of like, all right, well, so let's try this medication. See you next time. Fucking take 5 minutes of the doctor's day. And the cost would go way down because they'd have to charge reasonable prices, and then reasonable people could afford reasonable service. And the doctors would only be responsible for the diagnosis and not for the treatment. It'd be completely up to the individual to get the treatment. But no. And so it's got so bad that they force treatment on people. But the problem is they're forcing the wrong treatment on the wrong individuals. Instead of getting these criminals and the real fucking psychotics and these real schizophrenics and these real violent, aggressive, angry demons, instead of going after them and getting them, coming after me. And abusing me. And that's the worst part. I can handle everything in the world except this just nonstop abuse of a abuse victim. This abuse of abuse victim has just got my head so fucking spun around in motherfucking circles. That's why I demand justice. Or I'm going to go after that goddamn doctor with a fucking passionate revenge for a life I've lost and the suffering I've had to endure since the moment I met him. Actually, he met me in the hospital while I was having a seizure, so I was unconscious, and then he charged me $400 for that visit. That was one of the fucking starts of my poverty. I had to pay more than a whole fucking week's worth of pay for 5 minutes of his fucking time in a mental hospital I was unconscious that he didn't even need to be there for. And if I ever wanted a chance of having a driver's license, I had to see him, and if I ever wanted any kind of medication, I had to see him. And if I ever wanted anything to go anywhere in this life except just having seizures and till death and not being allowed to drive, I had to go to him. But I can't go to him unless I pay that $400 that he charged me in the mental hospital or in the fucking ER when I didn't even want him there. And I told him that. But unless I paid him and then paid another fee for the next visit and paid cash every time I fucking saw him, well, you ain't getting medication, you ain't getting a license, you ain't getting a diagnosis. Well, fuck you, American Christian. Yeah, well, guess what, Chinese doctor? Americans are stronger than Chinese. You might be greater in number, but we are superior. I am a xenophobe. Yes, I am a xenophobe. I am xenophobic against the Chinese. If you are of Chinese descent and you live in American and have become an American citizen or are, applying for that, hey, you're a citizen. You're my nationalistic partner. But if you're trying to Chinese heritage and you ain't trying to become American, I fucking hate you. I fucking hate everything that you do. I hate where you come from. I hate everything about your fucking planet or your country being on this planet. Fuck China. Fuck the doctors that come out of that fucking goddamn fucking hellhole. So that fella came up with that fucking big old fucking tube of pot. First thing he does, he's all detached. First thing he does is roll a joint before he can even start the conversation. And it takes the fella a fucking half hour to roll this joint. Have you ever seen anybody take a half hour to roll a joint? Then, of course, he rolls it so tight, I actually tried to take a couple of hits off it, and it's like, God damn, I can't even get a fucking hit off this thing. And then he's complaining when me and his other fella can't keep the little, filter thing he put in the end of his joint. And we're like, why didn't you just let us roll us our own joint? He actually did. He actually offered me a little bit of pot to smoke out of a pipe. And I was like, I don't have a pipe. And my water pipe, I've used the smoke spice out of, and he's like, spice? And I'm like, yeah, it works. I mean, taking care of my situation, especially when the marijuana became impossible to get. And he's like, oh my God, you don't need spice. Oh my God, you need some marijuana. And I'm like, or something like that. I'm like, buddy, I don't even need the spice. I'm not addicted to it. You have to be. You just said that you did. And I'm like, no, I'm more like dependent on it, guy. To be honest with you, but it's something I can handle. Something I can just shut off. It ain't a big deal. Yes, it is. And I'm like, no, dude, look. The only reason why I'm doing it is because they won't prescribe me benzodiazepine to treat my anxiety disorder and seizures. He heard that. He's like, his eyes went whoop, and he's like, benzodiazepine, those are evil. Like, I think that might very likely have been the like literal words out of his mouth. Benzodiazepines, those are evil. Whoa, buddy, don't you dare come up in my motherfucking place starting that fucking shit with me. When you come up in here with a big old fucking tube of fucking marijuana, and that first thing you do is fucking roll a joint before you can function. Don't even come in here fucking tell me benzodiazepine is evil. Again, getting good at humanitarian and relating and dealing with people. So I was like, dude, calm down about the benzodiazepine, man. It's just a chemical that just changes part of your brain that functions. Dude, calm down. It's not good or bad. Yes, it is. And then his other fella started on like, I'm like, wow, these guys are just straight up terrified of anybody ever taking a benzodiazepine in their life. But of course, they're also terrified of spice and addicted to marijuana. And I mean that when I say addicted to marijuana. That shit wasn't helping him. Was it causing more harm than good? I think so. But that's not for me to decide because I just not involved enough with them and don't even give a fuck about it now. And then when I was like, guys, calm down. Look, the benzodiazepine has been proven to fix my problem. After 13 years of research, study, fact checking, and everything else, it goes right back to what I just said is fact. Benzodiazepines are not evil. I am not evil, and I'm not evil when I take them. But they will help me stop having seizures. They will solve my insomnia, and I may have to take it long term. I don't know. Well, that's just for time to tell. And they were like, "You're an addict!" They didn't scream it because these guys are very calm and passionate. They kind of are calm and passive. They have to be because that fucker would probably have a heart attack if he wasn't. I mean, the guy's 120 pounds, barely holding on to life. Over here smoking pot nonstop all day, every day. And then he calls me an addict. I'm like, whoa. How can I even be addicted to the benzodiazepine when I haven't taken it for years? When I was taking it, I never took it for more than a month or two at a time. And even then, it was as needed. It wasn't even daily. And when I've been given single doses recently, again, right back to science and experience, same thing happens. So because of those facts, I desire to legally obtain benzodiazepine to treat my illness. Dude, you fucking just addicted to benzodiazepine, man. That's why you're saying this shit. Do you hear me? What this guy's saying to me in my house while he's over here with a big old fucking tube of marijuana, fucking carrying it around like it's the last thing he's got to hold on to in life. And you're an addict because you know that a benzodiazepine is going to solve your problem, and so you want to eventually get that benzodiazepine legitimately and use it correctly. And then I told him this, And this time he's gotten in like panic, like terrified. Like, I gotta go, man. I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. And I'm like, dude, look, addiction is not my problem. My problem is abandonment issues and suicidality. And he said, yeah, well, I gotta go. I'm like, do you hear what you just said, buddy? I just told you abandonment and suicidality is my issue. You came over here because you're worried about me committing suicide, even though what difference is it going to make in 5 or 10 minutes whether you get out here or not to save me from a suicide? That's not the way it works. Okay? What it is I'm going to be suicidal because I'm going to question why you abandoned me and what I did wrong about it. And he's like, well, good luck, bye. And they made a beeline for their vehicle and took off and drove away. And I haven't seen or heard from him since. Do you see what I'm getting at? I told him abandonment and suicidality is my problem. So what did they do? They abandoned me when they were supposedly coming over to try to protect me from suicidality. Do you see the fucked upness in this shit? And so I decided to get a little passive aggressive revenge on him. I wrote him a nice polite text message. And boy, was the message in it passive. Let's see. Look, benzodiazepines are not evil. Just a lot of people who use it recreationally are. My desire to use this medication in the future is specifically medicinal and necessary. Marijuana just gets me high, but doesn't treat my ADHD and my generalized anxiety disorder. You guys have it backwards. I'm not addicted to benzodiazepines. I just know from research and experience that this is correct medication for my mental illness. I feel stigmatized again, but that's what people do to victims. How's that for a fucking revenge message that was just totally polite and politically correct? I called him a bad person for using it recreationally. Then I called him a bad person for being kind of addicted to it. Then I called him a bad person for not being able to come down off of it. Well, and I called him a bad person for continuing to have this fear and insolvability with this medication. I called him bad because he couldn't handle himself. And I also, like I said, at the end of that, abandonment is my biggest issue. Everybody abandoned me. You just did the same thing, so guess what? You're in the same category as everybody else. Just dumbass bitches fucking wishing they could evolve. But what I wanted to know about this guy is I suspect he might be near death. I think when he got in a panic to come out and see me, it wasn't because I think that in reality, it wasn't so much of him wanting to make sure I didn't die before he had a chance to reconcile something with me or catch up with me or whatever. I think he's dying. He's afraid of his own death or something. Well, maybe he's not afraid of his own death, but he's preparing for it. I don't care anymore now, but I am curious. I did ask my brother, is this guy near death? And I still haven't got an answer back from my brother David. That's actually a really important answer I need to know. Factual to be able to check my judgment of someone else's situation. I called it social perspective. Social perspective. And I came up with that. I'm not saying nobody else put those two words together in the existence of humans on this planet. But in my universe, I am the inventor of this term, and it's mine. And another term that popped into my head recently, and I'm sure it's not original in history, but it's original to me, is that synthetic guilt. Synthetic guilt, man. It's gonna. This synthetic guilt, if it don't stop soon, it's gonna cause me to go crazy. I see it coming. And what's fucked up is it's so. It's so real. And again, I've done my research. So I already have a vision into the future. I can already predict a lot of things now. And the synthetic guilt, I can predict, is going to end me up in a mental hospital, suicidal, or I'm going after that fucking Chinese doctor with a passionate vengeance to cause him to suffer as horrifically as I can, causing him to hold on to the last little remnants of life and just sheer pain and agony, and then let him come back and then bring them all through it all over again. Non-stop for the rest of my existence on this planet. Or until I get caught and thrown in prison. Or until he actually dies, nobody finds out about it and get away with it, which, since I'm doing this shit online, is never going to happen. Which is kind of good, though, because that's going to keep me from doing it, because I'm going to know that I'm going to get caught if I do it. But again, if I go crazy, I ain't going to care about getting caught. In fact, I'm going to want to get caught because I'm going to want to be on the news. I'm going to want to stand up in front of that camera and a news camera and be like, I put that Chinese doctor in his place as an American. He wanted to hurt a child abuse victim? Well, I showed him just what a Christian can do. And I didn't do it in the name of God. I did it in the name of justice. And I might have to answer to God for it. But I'm willing to make that sacrifice for the rest of this planet to get rid of that fucking witch doctor. I get worshipped. Like this other guy's already got a little cult following. Again, which I don't think is a bad thing. Is vigilante justice going after these child molesters with a hammer? Winning! I mean, enough people do that fucking shit and child molesters either going to stop or they're going to disappear. They ain't going to be sitting here in some fucking $85,000 house while child abuse victims like me live in a fucking rotting camper, not allowed to drive to work, or even church, or even school. Fucking ain't allowed to get my fucking medication. But these motherfuckers get out of prison and go fucking hang out in their fucking houses, sometimes get disability and whatever the fuck else. Oh. Hammered in the face. What a fucking... Oh, I would have never thought of that, but once I saw the faces of these people, I was like, oh, man. That hurts. Oof. I don't think I could do that. But then I forced myself to say these people are child molesters. I still was like, man, that's gotta hurt. But I forced myself to be like, they got what they deserved. I don't think I could do that with a hammer to their face like that. At least not now. But man, in the face. What a fucking awesome idea. That means that fucking permanently disfigured their face. Fuck yeah. Fucking genius compared to what I could come up with on that kind of stuff. I never thought of fucking up his face so that he'd have permanent recognition as a child molester. Oh. Yeah, doctors really do. Or they need to just, again, fucking shut off the damn emotions. Go into robot mode and do their fucking job. But they put their emotions into it. They put their feelings into it. They put their opinions into it. Opinions are good within reason. But that's should be allowed in that profession where they hold all the cards to medication access. Nah. It's a tyrannical. And but you see what? So like I said, I'm a man of prediction. That Chinese doctor, what I want to do to that doctor, I imagine a lot of other people want to do to their doctors. Just a lot of people aren't on my level to go out and fucking harm that motherfucker. I'm going to do it the right way, or at least try doing it the right way through the court system and the law. But if I can't, I'm going to start a movement, is what I predict. I predict, with my innocence and everything I've been through and continue to go through and will go through and all this, all because that Chinese doctor just decided to deny me a pill and a proper prescription and try to get me to commit suicide. Fuck. Those emotions getting my fucking mind jumbled up. Shit. That's that ADHD right there. Let's see. Well, that's kind of cool because I can look at the camera while I'm looking at myself on the screen, but now the chat's all off in the corner. I can't hardly read it, so until I get another webcam, just have to kind of deal with me looking off to the side here if I want to see the chat. If I want to see the chat. Ooh, it's getting hot here too. Of course, it told me it was going to be hot today. I know. Look at it. I got a fucking air conditioner and a fan running, but because this camper is just so wore out and old, and it's all I can afford, it's just not insulated enough to, to be comfortable, really. And it's got some other real problems. Like, the floor's falling out over there, the frame's bent over there, the door's starting to sag, got a gap in it now. But last night, after raining for fucking 36 hours straight, I've got fucking 3 fucking huge ass leaks over there and another one over here, and another one just started up on my door as I was going to bed last night. Just all out of nowhere. So now I got to get up on my roof and fix it. But I haven't got no caulking. That stuff's kind of expensive too, and it's miles away at a fucking store. Thank God I got an extra tarp in the garage to just toss over that section of the camper for the moment to take care. In fact, I need to go take care of that. And you know what? Maybe we'll go do a little live adventure on that. Maybe I'll get the phone out somehow with a tripod or something, go climb up on the ladder up on the roof of the RV, put the fucking tarp on. That's kind of a neat little video, different perspective of my life from the rooftop. But what the fuck are you doing on the roof having seizures? Man, my seizures aren't usually generalized. They fucking happen in my sleep. Everything I do in the day is usually okay. But I'm still not allowed to drive. Oh man, these doctors are fucking me so bad. Oh, they fucking pill. Oh, I can't wait to go after Dr. Pan. Oh, I can't. And the longer time goes on, the more passionate and the more intense this desire gets, day by day. And now at this point that I've just decided to stop medicating with anything at all and just go completely sober for real, even though shit, I haven't been able to stop talking. I don't want to stop talking, but I don't. But fuck, that's not even really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when I'm not talking. Maybe that's what it is. I'm talking and doing this video right now because if I don't, I'm literally just going to sit here staring at a spot on the wall thinking about how wicked that doctor is, how wicked Judge Ward is, how wicked all those police officers are in the departments that allow it. I'm still obviously obsessed with it, but at least I found an outlet. I found a way to try to accomplish, make it worth something. Because if I just fucking die because of this, or just suffer until death because of this, with nobody ever fucking realizing the atrocities that they continue to commit, I deserve to go to hell. I will have failed, I feel. It is my mission to force this into their faces. And now I don't even want to go to Alabama. Even if I would have got some medication. So it's something to entertain with. Even if I would have, I still think at this point now, or by the time I'd have got to court, I'd been just straight up like I am now. I'm not going. He'd be like, why not? Because I'm addicted to, or because I'm dependent on justice, and I can't function unless I do something about this. That's it. I can't function unless I do something about this. And when you say function, dude, you're awake, you're drinking something, you're talking, you're functioning. Oh, the fuck, I'm talking about high functioning. Fuck. See how my mind just snaps like that? Because my whole life, other than inside my adopted family, has been nothing but stigma. Has been nothing but, you're a bad person because you're acting weird. When they say there's something wrong with me, yeah, they're right. All right, fine, something wrong with me. Help me fix it. If you're so fucking not damaged, and I am, help me fix it. No, they just want to tell you about it. They want to give you all this advice on how to fix it, except go see a psychiatrist. If somebody would have just fucking used those goddamn words a long time ago, particularly that Chinese doctor, Xi Jinping, go see a psychiatrist. In fact, if you don't see a psychiatrist, you need to go to the mental hospital. So it's your choice. Make an appointment for a psychiatrist or go to the mental hospital. I'd have been like, well, I don't want to go to the mental hospital. I'd have made that appointment for that psychiatrist. All right, let's do some more predictability here. Let's shift back into the past. Let's say that I did go to a psychiatrist, but I run into the same problem I ran in with that Dr. Pan, and with 7 out of 8 emergency room psychiatrists and mental hospital psychiatrists I've run into. Denial of reality, calling me a liar, and denying me medication and misdiagnosing. I'd say I had a 1 out of 8 chance of actually getting a good psychiatrist that would have been like, oh shit, here's the Xanax. And don't worry, it's not going to get you high. It's only going to make you feel better, or not feel better, but it's only going to straighten out what's wrong with you. And you just need to be careful with it and accept these facts. No. When I did, the few times I did get a benzodiazepine prescription, it was just a complete mystery. It surrounded with guilt. It was, you're a bad person because you need this benzodiazepine. But if you take this benzodiazepine, you're going to become a worse person. Does that make sense to you? Because it makes sense in a linear fashion. But in a health practice, mental health situation, that's fuck shit right there. You're a bad person because you need the benzodiazepine, but if you take the benzodiazepine, you will be a worse person. It's no wonder I'm just completely overwhelmed with socialized anxiety disorder between the police and the doctors and the judge. My only saving grace is my faith in God and my adopted family. That's it. That's my only saving grace. And the ability to fucking alter my perceptions by force with a chemical, by, on demand. But now I don't got that, and I don't really want that. Man, what a mess. There you go. My brain just went. All my fucking thoughts just gone. Shit. Okay, so yeah. So I'd say I have 1 in 8 chance to actually get. So maybe telling me to go see a psychiatrist, or maybe I was referred to a psychiatrist, not necessarily by that doctor, but shortly after that, when I did end up in the mental hospital a few times, and that psychiatrist did the same thing that Dr. Pan did, and that might have been the final straw. When he diagnosed me as a schizophrenic, and then I looked up schizophrenia, I was like, this guy did the same thing that the Chinese doctor did. I'm hopeless if I don't fucking solve this myself. Well, I did solve it myself, but now I got to go back to them to get access to the medication. And now that I'm proving them wrong, it's never been more difficult to get a prescription for that medication. Like I said, this is going to be a fight to death. There's going to be a struggle to death. I don't see any way around this. I don't see normal humans having compassion. I don't see it. Compassion in a human being, humanitarian in a human being, it's the last thing I expect from normal people. And I never, ever expect anyone to ever believe anything I ever say, even though everything I say is as real and honest as reality is. It's that victim abuse. It's that, okay, yeah, you're making sense, but you're acting eccentric. Fuck you. You don't know what you're talking about. Go to the hospital. It's like, no, I know exactly what I'm talking about. You just don't know how to handle an emotional dysregulation. Who's the one who's superior? They are, because the reason why they don't have to worry about any of these things is because they don't have any disorders that cause any of these things to continually bother them every moment of every day in every way. So they have the benefit of all of that being automatic in the body so that they can focus and function on the normal things that normal people do, relationships, jobs, future, economy, everything else. And I'm just stuck here, obsessed with treating my condition correctly so I can do what everybody else gets to do. And now, like I said, now that I've gotten this close, it's so far away. Because every time like I said, 7 out of 8 times, I explain it. They deny the reality. Only 1 out of 8 psychiatrists accepts the reality as it is when I explain it to them. However, the good thing is the fact that I've been able to talk to 1 or 2 psychiatrists that were good, and our conversations went on the same level that I had a conversation with the camera with, and there was no denial. There was a, wow, you do got this figured out. Here's the benzodiazepine. Make sure you get a prescription for this. You hear what I just said? I've had 2 psychiatrists, especially recently, tell me, yeah, this is what you need. I can't give it to you here. Go get a prescription for it. Then I tell them that's my problem. I can't get a prescription for it because everybody else is paranoid and worn out from this war on drugs. And they're like, I'd really like to be able to help you, And I'm like, you used to be able to. I used to walk out of here with a prescription for 30 to 90 days of Ativan, lorazepam. Why can't you do that now? He didn't explain why. I guess maybe they changed the law or something, or again, maybe he just hit that point where he was like, this is where my responsibility is going to stop. My liability begins. Even though he's really lost on getting to the next step of treatment, even though he knows exactly where the next step of treatment is, I'm just going to have to fucking just shut off and disappear. Still kind of a bad psychiatrist, if you ask me. They really need to do, like they did a long time ago, is let me leave with a 30-day supply so that I can come back home, get rid of my imbalances, and get into a normal, smooth flow, and then go see a psychiatrist. Likely that psychiatrist is going to see the improvements without having a reference to what it was like without them. And he's either going to do one of two things. He's going to recognize it for what it is. Oh, he's been taking this for a month, and he's not doing it better or worse. He's just doing normal. Keep giving the medication. Or he's going to be like, I've been giving it, or he's been taking it for a month, and he's pretty damn normal. Well, that means he doesn't need it. That's the exact opposite, man. People who don't need it, who take it for a month, they're the ones who becomes addicts. They're the ones who becomes not normal. They're the ones who becomes the non-caring, fucking, I don't give a fuck about you. The world's about me. Fuck this shit. I got no guilt. That's part of what that medication treats. Okay? Those times people take it, they go the opposite of normal. I take it, I go right toward normal. A good psychiatrist would see that and continue my medication. A bad psychiatrist is going to do this. Oh, well, you're normal. That means you really never needed them to begin with, so I'm canceling the prescription. A month later, my symptoms are going to all have come back within a week or so, if even. And I've been dealing with this the whole month. I go see him another month later. I'm like, look, all these fucking things came right back. All this fucking shit. He's like, oh, all right, well, I got to write this for you again. I'm like, all right, now look. It worked. I was normal. You took me off it. I went back to abnormal. You're going to put me back on it to get normal? Are you going to be taking me off this again so that I go abnormal again? Or are you going to just let me stay on this as needed? If it's a good psychiatrist, he's going to be like, I'm going to let you stay on as needed for the rest of your life. Bad psychiatrist is going to be like, oh no, after 30 to 90 days, you take another one of those motherfucking pills, you're a fucking sinner. You're a fucking satanic motherfucker, and you're never coming back. You're fucking off the deep end. You're fucking, dumb. And we have every right to fuck you. That's what the doctors do. Fuck, here's a breaker on my AC again. Yeah, that's another thing, man. My AC, I don't know if it's the friggin' condensers getting clogged up again or what, but I know I need to clean this filter again, but my AC it pops breaker 2 or 3, 4 times a day in the hottest parts of the day. And I don't know if the breakers just wore out or maybe it might even be a bad connection, man. My power cord to this place is a fucking redneck rig of a nightmare. But it was all I could afford when I fucking got this camper, and it's honestly, I still can't afford the $220 I need to get some burial wire to run me a straight line and an outlet. I'm using old extension cords and pieces of old house wiring and stuff, just wired, nutted, and shit together. Other downsides is I actually have 2 cords running out here now. I have another cord running out here for my stereo, computer, and my space heaters. Or one of my space heaters, because I've noticed if the AC's running, the compressor on the AC's running, I can't run the coffee pot or the microwave at the same time, or it's just too much stress. I gotta shut easy AC off while I run those appliances. Again, if I just $220 and the motivation to do it, I fucking just put me in a new line and I haven't had to solve. But I'm just stuck in poverty, And at this point, again, especially with the roof starting to leak now again, and just getting up into the corners and stuff, trying to figure out what exactly just went wrong this time, and seeing all this fucking shit falling out everywhere and all rot in these corners and stuff. I'm just like, and now that I'm sitting here looking at the sky through the top of my door, and it wasn't like that a few, last week or something. I'm just like, and I can't even go to the fucking lumber store to buy tools and hardware to fix this. I'm sitting here just watching my camper rot in front of me and just can't do nothing about it. And it's it's not a nice camper. It's a it's a high functioning camper with a lot of space for a camper, but it's really a fucking rotten nightmare. So much rot in this camper. An asthmatic would have fucking passed away a long time ago in this place. I can't believe, especially with a few mold infestations I've had in here and stuff, and cockroach infestation stuff, that I'm still as healthy as a horse, so they say. But that's just my awesome immune system and look what I went through as a kid. The upside is you become damn near bulletproof until you actually get hit with a bullet. But at the cost of just, something else that's a real big issue. That, again, they began to treat one day, and then once it started working, I kind of eased up. But now if I talk about it again, they're kind of like, well, we don't know that's really what's wrong with you. And that's that dopamine receptor deficiency. I got it. I'd say 1 out of 100 chance I don't. 99% chance I got that dopamine deficiency, and a pretty chronic case of it. I've already explained that in a few other videos. I can't pleasure seek. I don't get dopamine releases when I do drugs. Nothing. All my inspiration, motivation, and all that stuff that dopamine does to you is really just an internal, passionate love of my adoptions and life on this planet, if it worked for the better. Well, we're almost at 2 hours, but it looks like I just got another viewer, so I guess I'm going to keep going. Well, what can we do? See what I mean now? Now I'm like out of things to do, but I still want to do something. I go ride out around on the bike a little bit, but that's gonna be so short-lived. It would be 5-10 minutes if even, and just I had too much trouble charging the bike, and it's hard on the bike, riding that thing down the dirt road back and forth, and now on the side of the grass where that officer says I have to operate this thing. That's fucking, that's fucking torturous shit on that suspension. Thank God that bicycle's apparently solid as tough as a fucking brick. But that's not the point. I shouldn't have to do all that fucking shit when I bought a bicycle that was, according to the law, legal. Yeah, fuck that shit. All right, yeah, so we got the disrepair of my camper, disrepair of my life, lack of access to transportation now, and now this. Well, I say now this has been an ongoing problem, and it's gotten to the point though where I've just, that's it. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. The hit or miss with the spice is so bad that I'm actually reluctant to get new bags of spice and to try them because of this fucking shit. Because this fucking shit that happened to me last night with this. It doesn't make me sick. My body doesn't really work that way. But what happened, and I noticed what happens a lot with this bad spice. And okay, the term bad spice is it's a matter of perspective, because you ask a doctor what bad spice is, and he's gonna say all spice is bad. You ask users what bad spice is, and they're gonna be like, or even the authorities, they might say, well, bad spice turns you into a bad person, or it makes you sick. Yeah, if those chemicals are fucked up and you can't handle your shit, or you just fucking put them in your body so long that your liver and kidneys can't take care of it, then yeah, you can get sick, like nauseous and vomiting and headaches and all that. And that's not from the synthetic cannabis, though, causing the sickness. That's from them putting all kinds of other crazy shit in here to make up for the fact that they can't just legally use the right product. Okay, that's bad spice. Agreed. This stuff has no chemical in it at all. Or if it does, whatever it is causing an upper. Let's see how I can be right both ways. How can this have no chemical in it at all, but also cause me to feel like it's an upper? How can that make sense? It does. It really does if you're on my level. All right. Reason why I call this bad spice, and I don't call that stuff that makes me sick because I smoke too much of it without a break, and my filtering system just couldn't filter the toxins out. That's a physical sickness. So that's bad for you in that way. But it's not bad for my head because I'm still getting benefits that I use it for to begin with from. Usually, sometimes. This, with no chemical in it, why can't this cause an upper with no chemical in it? How does that work, man? There's no chemical in it. How are you getting excited off of this? Well, when I say excited or upper, I'm talking about a conscious one. And this is not consciously either way. This is consciously nothing at all. Zip, zero, zilch. And I smell it. And it smells like raw product. It might have something on it. Whatever it is, it's not synthetic cannabis. So let's go both ways. Let's say this is an upper. This is a bad chemical and it's causing my upper. Well, that's bad spice. Why? Not because it's making me sick over time due to toxicity, but because it's not altering my brain in the way that I purchased this stuff to do it on demand for. Well, okay. The doctors say that this is actually good spice because there's no chemical in it. There's no way you can get addicted to it, no way you can harm yourself on it. Bullshit. This fucking shit is harsh. It fucking doesn't do fucking shit for you, so you fucking sit there just hotboxing it, thinking that maybe it's just your tolerance or maybe it's just weak and you just need more of it. And you still never get what you want out of it, so you're always still just in an anxiety, panic, and also now terrified that you just got ripped off again. So to a real non-abusive user, bad spice is anything that doesn't do what you paid for it to do. Okay, so let's say that this does have a chemical that was causing my upper. That's legitimate, and I could be approved at. All right, let's say this doesn't have any chemical in it, and I get told that. I'm like, yeah, I'll set you up with a pseudo bag just to see how good you are at testing this stuff. So I've been a product tester for this, almost on a black market professional. I'm not kidding. I used to borderline black market professional product tester on this stuff. That's why I'm so good at analyzing this stuff and handling it when it's good or bad or none at all. But anyway, why can this cause an apple without a stimulant? That don't make no sense. From my perspective, it does. I've been dependent on products like this to alter my perceptions and to slow down some of my cognitive capacities. Now, as a form of habit and experience and nature, my brain is expecting that when I smoke it. When it doesn't do that, my brain's still subconsciously expecting that. And so it fucking starts overacting. Does that make sense? Does it make sense to me? My brain's expecting something, and I do it, and it doesn't happen. Then my brain's gonna go fucking crazy the other way because it was already got ready to do that. I was just trying to hold it off. Just didn't hold it off. There it goes. It's back. For real. This stuff is actually worse than nasty stuff because my brain is expecting something that doesn't happen, so my brain fucking goes into hyperactivity, which is the exact opposite. My whole problem to begin with, the whole reason why I'm even using this. And I see how some people can have a problem with that. Because like I said, they weren't smart as me. They'd be thinking, it's me. I'm just not getting high off of this because there's something wrong with me. No, there's no chemical in it. So now we know what bad spice really is. Bad spice isn't a spice that makes you sick. Bad spice is stuff that doesn't do what you expect it to do when you buy it. Honestly, all medication drugs are like that. And that's kind of what happens when I go to the doctor. I go to a doctor expecting this kind of treatment, this kind of diagnosis, and this kind of medication, and I don't get it. Well, at least my brain isn't going into hyperactive mode because at this point, I'm actually expecting it. It blows my mind when the 1 out of 8 doctors are like, "Yeah, buddy, you're the victim. You're the victim of malpractice. Just go away." Come on now. When they don't deny me that anymore, that I'm a victim of malpractice, I want to bring it right to their face because they know they can't. Because I'll sit there and argue with them for forever about it. The fact that they're admitting it, I got more proof. Or the fact that they haven't denied me the accusation of medical malpractice, says something. We got to do something for our country, folks. I don't know what it is. And I predicting civil war. I don't see these doctors and these police giving up their power. But I also don't see any of us real patriotic, responsible Americans tolerating it either. I guarantee there's a lot more of us than there are of them. Already showing the trouble police are getting themselves into when the Civil War starts. Look at what's going on in the cities in the last few days and weeks. And the police are practically powerless except to just stand there, shoot little ballistic things, and shout out over loudspeaker, throw some pepper spray, and fucking do that shit. if they're real police, they'd be arresting people, charging them for crimes that I'm watching happen on this camera right in front of these officers sitting there in front of these protest lines, doing that fucking shit. But these officers are 110% out to get me, and I'm watching all these people do all these atrocities right in front of the police or being reported to the police, and the police are like, so what? I want to put you in jail. Why, officer? Because you're reporting crime. Officers want to put me in jail for reporting crime. Like I said, that doctor's going down. And Jim Ward, if I even make it to court, and that should be scary. If you know anything about me, the fact that I'm saying if I make it to court. You know what that means? As absolutely damned and determined as I was, get into that courtroom to prove myself innocent. The reality of the hopelessness from past experience tells me I have a better chance of just being a fugitive and I've been tempted to actually do that, to just disappear. But then if I do that, they're going to use that against me. Instead of realizing that, no, you just scared this child abuse victim into isolation. You just terrified this innocent victim into panic and terror, and now he's gone. We don't even know where he is or if he's even alive anymore because this officer did this shit to this poor guy, to this poor innocent victim. No, they're going to be like, well, of course he ran because he's guilty. So I can't do that. That's why I might end up in the mental hospital and be like, look, transfer me to court from the mental hospital. I wonder if I can use that as a to my political advantages. Let's say political advantage. Let's see. Yeah. I check myself into the mental hospital, and I don't do it just like the morning or the day before. I do this several days before. And I tell them I'm not leaving this mental hospital until I go to court. And when I get out of court, if the judge doesn't call that officer bad and call me good, I'm coming back here to stay. Then I go to court from the mental hospital, showing up in hospital garbs and shit. Think about the scene. A mental hospital patient that wasn't a mental hospital patient until this officer did this to me is crying, or not crying, but is sobbing about being a victim in court. This officer does anything but fall on his knees and start asking God for forgiveness of his sins. I imagine the public opinion will turn really sour really quick if that judge convicts me and I end up saying, I can't afford the fine. In fact, my spirituality and justice won't allow me to pay that fine. You have to put me in jail for this. Even though all I need is medication, but because of lack of it, I'm stuck in a mental hospital. But I need to go to jail because I'm guilty of this and I will not pay you for it in cash. I'd rather go to jail, continue to get my disability so I get double paid, and the expense is even greater to you. Why would you do all this? Because that's bad, officer. and I can't take it no more. Like I said, so like you say, can you imagine a mental hospital patient being called a criminal and getting sent to jail, and he's just a victim of circumstance, innocently trying to get along harmlessly. Now I'm in a mental hospital, and now this officer is over here fighting to throw me in jail. Boy, I imagine that might start a movement if that shit made it on television. In fact, it might be illegal, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try to record this court proceeding on my own device. Come back here and instantly toss it on the internet for everybody to examine and witness. In fact, I might even request that that is a condition of me doing anything but just creeping into the corner and crying until I get back to the mental hospital. Until I get back to that mental hospital where I can be safe from the police again. So they have to let me record this so that I can make sure that everybody can see how you treat me. Because if I don't, then you're not going to treat me right. Experience has already proven this. And I cannot continue. Many says, that's not going to work. I'm going to be like, why not? My public defender forced me to do it 6 times in a row when I'm not guilty on that last charge. Remember that, Judge? So like I said, unless I can expose the treatment, good or bad, in here to the public, I can't continue. And that's it, I'm just to lock up. And then, again, public opinion, they throw me in jail, that's gonna fucking might start some riots. I get out of jail and then get onto the streets with this new terroristic form of victim shaming on top of everything else. Civil war is what I'm getting at. You know what I'm saying? I'll start at least a movement or some riots or something at this point. I really, as much as I can't stand the destruction and the waste and the pollution and the incivility and the lack of and responsibility in those riots, I can completely understand why they're going on. Those police did it to themselves. They deserve every motherfucking bit of hate they get. Not all officers deserve that hate, but as a whole, police are bad people. The police department is a good utility when it's properly exercised, but there are so many bad officers and so many bad people running it that they are going to cause the revolution. And the bad thing is the police are supposed to be protecting and serving the taxpayers. Civil War happens, and like I said, I predict they're going to start the Civil War. If the police start the Civil War, right there says everything about what side the police are on and have been on and will be on. The government. They don't serve the people. They serve the government. Well, I paid net taxes until my misdiagnosis caused me to suffer in disability, disrepair, and emotional dysregulation, and continue to. Oh. And they get away with some of this shit. And that's one of the reasons why This whole idea of racism on our country is a completely fabricated thing from the leftists. I've been living in reality. I've been living, like I said, in the community, especially the poor, poverty people. And there really isn't any racism. In fact, when you're in those circumstances, in a mixed community, you don't even have time to worry about shit like that, because the daily grind of just fucking surviving is so fucking strong that you'd be a fucking idiot to fucking hate on somebody because of the color of the skin. That'd be the fucking the most wasted, stupid thing in the world to do. And so it doesn't even occur to them as a part of their nature or thought process. I know, like I said, this way me and everybody else around me in this town has been. But these officers, and they say, okay, well, they need to hire more black officers. They need to make sure black officers are pulling the black communities so that the whites can't get accused of racism. That's not solving the racism. In fact, that's actually making it more present. What we need is to stop this war on drugs, stop this war on child abuse victims, start a war on the actual child abusers, it ain't gonna happen. You know what our saving grace is, though? And this is gonna be so worth it. This will make this whole video worth it. Do you know what might actually save this country in my predictions? President Trump getting reelected. He might actually be the saving grace to solve this, or to force the change. He's a businessman, not a politician. Exactly what we need as a leader. So at this point, I think the Democrats have fucked themselves. There's just little to no way that even the people that they're offering money to vote for them are going to be like, no, or that's going to become the minority again, and people wanting to really just fucking handle their own shit's going to be like, back off. And the police officers were like, hands in the air. Officer, I said back off. Hands in the air. Officer, I haven't done anything. Leave me alone. Well, that officer, you saw them fucking 10, 20 people gathering in on them, one or two officers, while they're trying to deal with this perpetrator, so they're not able to handle it back. Dude, these police, and so now it's kind of no wonder that 6 or 7 officers show up for one little tiny thing around here. I guess they're trying to prevent something like that from happening, although when they respond, they usually don't respond in pairs instantly. It's usually one officer, and then a few minutes later, another officer, and then another officer. Which would kind of mitigate that, because if something happened in that few minutes that that other officer was there, that fucking crowd's getting on that officer fucked, and he deserves it. The officer does something in public that causes the people to fucking jump him, that officer probably deserved it at this point. And even if he didn't deserve it, that's what you get for working alongside of so many bad officers and not doing motherfucking shit about it except receiving a paycheck and continuing to carry on. You got what you deserve, bitch. Boy, I fucking hate police officers with a fucking passion. And that was funny because a couple of weeks ago, you saw me, I was crying over the idea of hating things. Crying over it. That's gone. That burned out. My fucking shit's sailed. My fucking shit's all about kicking that fucking officer in the fucking face with my fucking logic. That's what I'm all about. Damn. Woo, see, I just got the urge to grab a physical object and pretend to beat something like I'm beating that officer and that doctor and that judge. But you saw, I stopped and just gone. Nope, that's not appropriate. Stop. If that ain't some fucking awesome regulation right there, I don't know what is. Oh, don't forget about this. I almost got to give somebody what he deserved with this thing in self-defense. Oh, I got so close that day. I had this thing and I was like, motherfucker, if you would have fucking fucked up one more time, I'd have been, BAM! Kill your motherfucking ass with a goddamn fucking helmet. Bitch. I can't wait to do that to somebody who deserves it. I can't wait to do that. And that's a bad thing. That's not a good thing. Okay, that is not a normally healthy thing. That is just, again, being a victim of my circumstance and having pretty much no way out. No way out. Ooh, I'm getting hungry. Finally. It's about fucking time, man. Shit, I ain't eaten in forever. Should I eat something or not? I don't know. Okay, the anxiety of fucking chewing food and swallowing it right now, the over-sensationalization of it is just kind of like, I don't really want to do it. But I really need to eat, man. See these problems I'm talking about? See? These anxiety problems are more than just oh, he's on edge. Or he's a little over-emotional. No, it's affecting everything from that to being able to eat. I got a high metabolism, but it's such a nerve-wracking experience eating sometimes that I'd rather deal with the hunger than deal with the nerve-wracking sensation, and that's all just anxiety disorder. If I had that fucking benzo and it was treated correctly, none of this fucking shit would happen because that part would be off like it needs to be when it's off, when it needs to be off, and I'd be concentrating on normal things. But the doctors just ain't gonna let it happen, and the police ain't gonna let it happen. Vigilante justice on the way, maybe. I don't know. Well, I'm about 2 hours, 30 minutes into this. I'm getting a little hungry, a little stir crazy. So I think I'm going to go ahead and stop this live stream and start another one here real soon when I feel like it. Like I said, maybe if I can get my shit together, I can get up on the roof and do a video, put the tarp up on there or something. Just, again, for change of atmosphere, change of scenery. All right, guys. See you on the next one.